Hi everyone, thanks for coming to this session. David, would you mind muting yourself for 1 moment? I think we're getting feedback through that. Perfect, cheers. Thank you, welcome to the Bundaberg Regional Council session on digital transformation. So we've got Cam here from Bundaberg Regional Council, and myself, Sarah Lemon. I'm the Operations Manager with Jadu Australia. And then we've got David also here, who's the VP for Jadu Australia. So I'm going to give you a little bit of housekeeping. Most of you will have been on sessions so far, so you kind of know what the score is. We've got a competition with the best tweet. So it's the hashtag Jadu Academy, and that's to @Jadu. We are recording these sessions, so we'll share these recordings after the sessions are finished, and any follow-ups, any handouts, any further information, we'll provide that to you guys. You can ask questions, so using this chat facility, so I can ask you all and say hello to everybody. But if you want to have Q&A, then just ask questions throughout the session, and then at the Q&A at the end, we'll cover those. Great. Okay, so I will pass over to Cam in a moment. Just from our perspective, at the last Academy, if you came in November 2019, you kind of got my perspective as the project manager on the project from Jadu. But we're lucky enough today to have Cam, who is the project manager and is the senior project manager at Information Services at Bundaberg Regional Council. But she led the digital transformation project from the very top to the getting everything sorted and organised. So that was 2 years ago that we first engaged, and the last site went live just over a year ago. So that was a sort of end-to-end 12-month crazy times. But I'll pass over to Cam now. And yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. It's good to be here. Hi, everyone. I see a very familiar name, and I'm sure I'll be hearing from other people as well. So basically what we went through was a huge change for us. And just to give you a bit of background, when I came on board with Bundy Council, there was a new CEO that was just commenced for about a year before I started. We had a new CIO. There was no comms manager at that stage. They were recruiting. There was no marketing team. So it was a huge change internally. And also part of this project for the consolidation of all the website was a huge change for the way they do things as well. So pretty much the website review came about because there was an amalgamation of the 4 councils, Bundaberg, Burnett, Shire, Isis and Callan. And so that took place, and there were a lot of different legacy systems, not just website-based. So that was sort of one of the reasons why we went and look at a solution for website consolidation. So I've listed here the 12 websites that Bundaberg Council had. Being that we had the corporate site, which everyone had. There was a couple of economic development related websites, invest and business. Wasn't sure why there was a difference, why there was 2, but they had 2. So anyway, this Bundy Region Connect was our community directory sort of services to the community, because we had a really good community development team that was really, you know, out there supporting the whole region. There was also a regional events website, but also a big Children's Festival website, which, you know, is one of the big events throughout once a year in the region, which actually closes down the Bruce Highway once a year. So that was a huge event, and they had a website for them. And then we also had a website for our holiday parks. Ferry Mead and Hinkle Hall of Aviation was pretty much like a tourist attraction venue, entertainment centre website, and then of course a website for all the libraries. So there was a lot of different, I suppose, platforms that were used for all these websites. Some were hosted internal, external, different vendors, different business areas that owned these websites as well. So it was a big job to try and look at consolidating them. So the reason, obviously, I've mentioned before, was amalgamation, but we also, didn't have consistency through some of those websites. Even the corporate website didn't have consistency through that website whatsoever. Different platforms, technologies. Some software was quite old. The corporate website was based on a very old Drupal version, which couldn't be upgraded anymore. There was no sort of marketing, no strategies in place. So, it was pretty much we needed to do something about the websites being so disconnected. So before we went through and look at the websites itself, we had a lot of internal engagement with all the business areas. And so we had about 3 months of internal engagement that was involving myself and our business analysts. And we worked with all the website owners individually, sat down with them, 2 workshops to look at, what their requirements, what the issues were, what they wanted to see out of their website going forward, comparing what they've seen in outside that they like and didn't like. So there was a lot of engagement internally that we did to get people on board for their support and for their, I suppose, passion to make the change happen. And once we did those internal workshops, we also brought in a website development specialist consultant from Brisbane. And we did a lot more workshops with these business areas as well, just to understand the personas, the customers that would be using these websites and services that we provide. So we did a lot of engagement before sort of consolidating the 12 websites into 4. So the idea around this consolidation was that, the corporate website and economic development and our community directory could sort of fall under our corporate website. The events and the Children's Festival was definitely about what was on in Bundaberg. So that was our events website. We see the need to promote a lot more of our, tourist events, tourist venues and other areas that we haven't promoted as much, because we have a zoo. I'm not sure if everyone knows that there is a zoo, a small zoo in Bundaberg. So that was sort of put towards this Discover Bundaberg website. And then the arts and entertainment centre and the library was sort of captured into Arts Bundaberg website. So that was the theory and the idea behind capturing the consolidation of 12 into 4. And as you know, with projects, not everything goes to plan. So at this moment in time, the corporate website is corporate and the community directory only. Economic development still has its own external website. It's not Jadu, so we've just sort of let that go for now. But everything else, it's all with Jadu. So, and that's great, because then that means we've got staff across the board that could help, maintain and manage the websites. So we sort of had a look at a few, I suppose, CMS, and we decided to jump on board with Jadu, because that was a really good sort of CMS that was fitting our needs at that time, and still does. So we sort of engaged with Jadu's team, which is with Sarah and David mainly, after we spoke with LJQ. So because obviously LJQ is part of the Queensland consortium of Jadu, I suppose, software provider. So we sort of engaged with Jadu directly and sort of took us through this journey of developing, designing, and take us through to implementation of these 4 websites. So this is just a sort of high-level diagram of our implementation process that Sarah has provided. So it was quite a massive job for us, as in Bundaberg, but also for Jadu and LJQ as well, to make this happen within such a short time. But we managed to do that, and I think the council was very pleased that we got it done in time. So with Jadu, we sort of went and did some more workshops based on the results and outcomes of those other internal workshops that we had, and engagement with the website development team. So we went through the discovery phase as well, but also defining, the requirements and just making sure that we're on the same page before we even kickstarted the project. So that was really good. So this is just taken from some of our workshops that we had internally with different teams. So we made sure that we engaged with all the business owners to make sure that they had their voice, and we listened to what they wanted and try and fit in with solutions to meet their needs. So it was really good. I think everyone, one of the reasons why the project was so successful is that people were, heard, and their opinions mattered, and we had a really good sort of people, I suppose, group of people who were willing to make changes happen. So that's brought on with the success of all these websites. We also engaged with Jadu's spacecraft creative team to do the design and I suppose look at how we could meet some of the website development needs out there that we have in terms of what other people are doing, how we can sort of, look at the future and plan ahead rather than just have something that's, what people have already seen. We wanted to provide a solution or website that I suppose is future proof to some extent. And so Jadu and Spacecraft were there to meet our needs. So this is just an example of a wireframe that we had for the Discover Bundaberg website. So we wanted it to be quite different to, obviously we didn't have Discover Bundaberg, so we wanted the website to be different, unique in all of those 4 websites, but also meeting all the amalgamated business areas that had sort of ownerships for these particular websites. So that was a challenge, but I think we did really well because everyone's very happy with their websites. We obviously with any CMS, we made sure that it was mobile responsive and user-friendly, visually appealing, which is one of the reasons why we went with Jadu, because our websites weren't that great in designs. And with projects, like I said, there's always changes, and you'll notice that our What's on Bundaberg website was purple, and now we've changed it to an off grey. So things were flexible, which is one of the things that we like working with Jadu and LJQ, in that we could make changes, and that wasn't a big issue. So this is our homepage for What's on Bundaberg, and like I said, it was initially purple, but now it's actually grey, which is a lot more, I suppose, friendlier. So it was, oh, here we go. Thanks, Sarah. You can view the website by this link. I won't click on that yet. We can have a look at that at some stage further down the track. I'll just, can I just move this out of the way, or is that?
There's a button at the bottom there that you can use just to click on the X below there.
That one? That one?
Have you got the close? Just roll over it and there's a close button.
Close.
Yeah, perfect. So
where do I work in IT?
No, absolutely
Sorry,
not. I'll let you carry on.
Okay, thank you. So one of the great things we did when we worked on this website project was that we look at the way we were doing things as well, because the events website, we wanted it, all the events to be pushed out to all our other websites. So that was really great in that we could do that with the functionality that Jadu has developed for us. So that way it was reducing, doubling up on the workload by having just all events published on what's on Bundaberg website, but then it gets automatically pushed across to the Arts Bundaberg, our corporate website, and our Discover Bundaberg website. So that was a really good win for us there. So the Arts Bundaberg website itself, we sort of based it on the three business areas. The theatre, which is now, the theatre is our entertainment centre, our arts gallery and our library. So we sort of made sure that they didn't lose their, I suppose, presence when we amalgamated the three websites into one. So that was a really good design by Spacecraft to enable us to do that. They still have their own sort of presence, but also their design once you go into each of these different menus. And our corporate website, that was designed based on, I suppose, sharing of information to the community, but encouraging people to engage with council a lot better and easier by having the search on the homepage, but also listing the most used services that people were looking for from the council. And so also incorporating the major services that we provided, which is usually rates, water and roads. But also trying to increase the online services that we were implementing as well, with the payments online and applying for online forms. So yeah, that was a really good design, and it was really sort of easy to look at. And we also did a lot of I suppose interaction with other business areas who haven't been involved with the project to see and get feedback from how they see the website developing. We also did what was the terminology, Sarah? Just top of my head, it was the eye checks, David.
I can.
David,
can you hear me okay?
Yep. So what do we do with that checks when you came through with those groovy laptops?
Yeah, we did eye tracking.
Eye tracking. Yeah. Thank you, Sarah. Yes, that was, we actually invited some of the councillors in to do the eye tracking to see, what people were looking at, where people were looking at. So that was a really useful tool that we did, which helped us further define the homepage and the functionality of the corporate website. So that was a really, really good process that we took. And lastly, our Discover Bundaberg website, which is very tourist-based, but it wasn't taking away the services of the local tourism board within the region. This website is based on promoting our own council-owned and run, holiday parks and all the beautiful parks and reserves and natural areas we have, including the Hinkle Hall of Aviation and the Ferrymead House, which is all historical within the region. And this website is very sort of imagery focused, because obviously it's trying to draw the people in to have a look at the website and participate in those venues and stay at the holiday parks. So I know it's probably gone quite quick, but I think overall the project was a success because we had a lot of support from people, not just our internal staff, but the Jadu team, our management, LJQ, and our community as well. So I think even though it was a short time frame that we had, I think we were quite successful in delivering what the council needed for all these solutions of website development. So
absolutely agree.
I think that's probably about it for me. If there's any question.
Thank you, Cam. That was brilliant. So we have a question from, so we've been answering questions as we've been going, so that's been quite good. So we've just got a question from Selchuk from Redland asking if you're using XFP and CXM. So not CXM. There's no Australian customers currently using CXM, but there are some in early stages. But yeah, so you're utilising the Forms product, aren't you?
Yes, we are. We've got we've got a very form-based expert that had some very good training from David, extensive training, and Ben has been our main contact to provide a lot of form transformation through to XFP. So we've got quite a lot of that happening, and we're trying to increase a lot more coming into the new year. And we are keen to look at CXM as well going forward. So that's probably next thing on our agenda next year to look through.
Awesome. I've just got a quick poll that I wouldn't mind everybody just having a go on. Let me just share that with you now. So the question is, no drama. I'll just do this and then go for it. So the question is, has anyone else gone through a similar consolidation project or process? So please feel free to share any of those in terms of having a digital legacy or even the formation of many councils into a singular council or all those websites. Just be interesting to know if you can't have to go through the process that Cam and others within Bundaberg have had to go through. And so far we've got all no's. Very, very lucky people. Okay, so I had a question following everything. I had a question, but with the consolidation of the websites, has that kind of helped with any resource savings within resources or savings within the council? And kind of what has been the significance in that amalgamation, I suppose?
I would say there would be a significant savings in terms of efficiencies because we have got all the websites being managed by the business areas, and it's the same tool across board. So there's always a lot of staff movement within the council. So people can just hop on and make edits. We've made sure that it wasn't controlled by any particular group, especially the corporate website where anyone could edit other people's content, but staff are aware that you need to contact such and such if you think content should be edited, but they are always there to support one another. In terms of budget savings, definitely with the way the project was ran, but also having just one CMS throughout the 4 website has, I suppose, reduced the amount of different vendors, contract vendors, different hosting services. So it's, I think, in the long term, it has saved council substantial amount of money.
Perfect. Thanks, Cam. Sorry, David, I cut you off earlier.
I wanted to add a comment more than anything. You probably got the sense from Cam's presentation that stakeholder management was absolutely critical. And if you think about a council that had gone through amalgamation and all of the politics that's inherent in that, it doesn't matter who the organisation is, you've had an amalgamation. There are going to be, I guess, people who are happy about that and people who aren't. You've got 12 websites who each have their own group of stakeholders. That goes down to 4. You're going to have people who feel like they've lost out in that process. You're going to have other people who feel like it was just a monumental effort. And Cam, you touched on the user testing we did. What really impressed me about that, I mean, obviously we delivered the service, but you organised that, and you had community members turning up at the front counter for the testing that we sort of ushered them through the building. You had councillors who were part of the user testing. You had members of staff. You had such a broad cross-section of users that whatever you delivered, no one could turn around and say they hadn't been consulted, that they hadn't seen it, and that they weren't happy with it, and had their feedback listened to. So that was the first point. Second point, Cam's not going to say it herself because she's modest, but Cam was really, for everyone else's benefit, Cam was really the glue that held this project together. And my observation would be, if you are an organisation that's embarking on the same sort of journey, you need a Cam. You need someone who is going to hold the whole thing together, and when it gets bumpy, they're just gonna keep pushing forward. So, yeah, I think Sarah,
I echo that.
Just wanted to add that. I think we've got a couple other questions there.
Just a couple of others. So, Cam, what's the content management approach? So, centralized, decentralized, how many content authors you have, and obviously the model will change on a website by website basis, but kind of what's the approach that you guys took to that?
The content management, because we didn't have a real corporate comms team at that stage, so each of the business areas was managing their own content, but we also had, comms help us in putting through a writing guide and looking at ways to improve the content itself before we publish them on the website. So there were some guidelines that were developed, but mainly it's up to the business owners to manage their own content, to write their own content, but then have it overseen by comms to look through, make sure it fits the guideline. So the authors, there's, the smaller websites like What's on Bundaberg websites managed by 2 authors, and they take turns looking after that. But the corporate website, I've lost count of how many staff that I've trained in maintaining content, because there's always been movements. But everyone who needs access to be a web or content author had to be trained before they could hop on board and make changes. So we have no restrictions on how many people can do or edit content. If the business requires it, then we're more than happy to train them up and provide them that access. So,
and interestingly, with your What's on Bundaberg, that's very much a centralised approach, because you have just the events team dealing with just events. And making sure that I suppose they are moderated in a way that you're able to publish that information. I mean, I think you've answered Adrian's question about web authors creating pages and can they change the navigation. I think the navigation is not something they're able to do. That's a centralised approach. Is that right?
Yes, so the owners of those particular websites, so What's on Bundaberg is managed by the events team, and they do have overseeing of that with marketing to sort of assist if they need to. But mainly there's different levels of access. So for What's on Bundaberg website, you have the events team who have got full control, and then you've got the content authors who have got certain controls, but they can't change everything. So yes, it's managed at different levels. And likewise for our corporate websites and the other 3 websites that we do have, admin people like myself and corporate comms who have full access, and then the editors, content editors, authors have got different access. And even within the corporate website, we have different levels of access. So for example, the community directory, they only got access to that particular area, and no one else has got access to that area as well. So we sort of adjust the access to whatever needs they require.
Perfect.
And yes, some authors can create pages, and there was a question there. Yes, some authors can create pages, and some can't. So yeah, that's just based on who we believe has got the skills and the ability to understand the structure of the website to create pages. And it's based on how comfortable they also feel as well.
Okay. Excellent, thank you. Thank you, Cam, for taking the time to do this presentation. Thank you, everybody who's attended. And yeah, we're on to the next session. I know, oh, David, you've answered that. So the next session is the Amazon Lex, so chatbot stuff. So we will move to that session in about 15 minutes. And Cam, thank you again. Thank you, everybody. And we'll send any follow-ups from this following this session. Thank you.
Thanks, Cam. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Cheers.
See ya.
Bye.